And why don't we just get started? We have a graduate student program working across the country, but today we want to talk about how can you get in the field in 1 month? What does it take to get into the field of clinical research? And Genie, I just want to start with you. Can you just tell us what you feel like some of the keys to success are, what we're going to be talking about today?
So just like in any industry, having great connections will really help you move forward in your career, professionally and personally. And for me, I feel like what Fastrack does a really good job is we are very well connected with people who are running these big companies, small companies, different sizes, running these trials, working with patients and sharing data with sponsors and CROs. And so what we do at Fastrack is we're kind of matchmakers, and we bring sites to students and we put them together. And oftentimes this brings this really great working relationship between student and mentor. Our students, we put them through a vetting process where we make sure that this is the right field for them. And then we put them through this intense training and we get them connected with all the proper connections. So that may only be an internship. It may be internship plus beyond, such as our instructors. Every session we have anywhere from 10 to 14 instructors over those 8 days, plus guest speakers, just because we want our students to be very heavily networked to understand what it takes to be a part of this amazing industry that we have. And so connections is a big one that we offer at Fastrack, but connections is really important in life. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Lauren, do you want to tag onto that? I mean, connections are so important, and that's something that we emphasize. Sometimes we call it soft skills too, how we relate to people. Lauren, can you talk about some of these other areas that we feel are so critically important to get into research, just briefly?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it kind of goes back to what I said initially, and I know some of you have joined since then. So I just reiterate, in this field, truly at the root of what we are doing is we are testing new medications, devices, and therapies. We are putting them in people. I mean, that is crazy, crazy exciting. And so to go into that without any proper knowledge or training or understanding of the regulations or how this is done in such a standardized way, it not only does a disservice to the participant sitting right in front of you, volunteering their time, volunteering their effort, volunteering their body to test out these new medications, devices, therapies, whatever it is, but it could do a disservice to patients down the road who could benefit from these treatments that we're testing today. And so having an experience through internship and also through learning from individuals active and working in the field, I think is really critical to go in there so you can really hit the ground running, because we don't have time to waste in this industry. We know that people are suffering from things like Alzheimer's, arthritis, migraines, all kind of these diseases and syndromes and things that people suffer from every day. And every minute that we waste not being trained, not being able to go in there and effectively do our job, just delays these medications and devices coming to the market.
Wow. Okay. And so real briefly, if you go apply to jobs, all the jobs often say, hey, you need experience to get in the field to get a job, but to get the experience, you need to get a job. So how do we get this done? Genie, why don't you tell us a story about this individual? Why don't you kick things off?
So this lady just warms my heart. So this is Liz, and she came through our class in May. And she stood out because she was not only was she a hard worker and she had this great life experience, but she needed a little bit of help. And so we put her into an internship where, we go through with our students and work with them to see what their goals are. And Liz just wanted to be more patient facing, working with patients and helping them on their day-to-day living, kind of maybe more in a general area. So she wasn't picky. She didn't have a particular therapeutic area of interest. And so she studied really hard on her independent online study. She studied really hard in class, made connections with our instructors. Liz was the kind of person, she has an art therapy background, so she was an artist herself. And it wasn't abnormal for her to create something beautiful and give it to her instructors. So there were personal things about Liz that was really incredible about her because she inserted her personality. She had fun with the class. She learned a ton. And then taking the serious side, she would go into her internship on time, showing off everything that she learned from Fastrack. and engaging and networking with the people and the staff and the patients, and really making such an impact at that site that she got offered a job at the end of her internship. Now, this doesn't always happen to every student, but this happened for Liz. And I remember the day when she walked into her office. You were there, David. She came in and she was wearing this oversized scrub top, and I had the name of her company. And with tears in both our eyes, we were so excited for her because she was employed in this field, had been trying to get in and figure out how to get in. She is so happy there. I'm so proud of her. We maintain contact, and again, she kind of warms my heart because she is a success story when she had some other challenges that were before her, and she broke down those barriers and is working in a field that she loves and will continue to love and grow and make such a great impact. Recently, she got a huge box of chocolates for Valentine's Day, and she sent me a picture indicating it's not just the people, but obviously the chocolates that they bring when they come see me. So.
Wow. Wow, that's a great story. And Liz, you know, I don't want to give away too much of it. She's in her 50s. She's older, and she was kind of finished up with her existing career. And then through the connections, by making that connection in the internship, she moves right into clinical research. That's really exciting. I wanted to share another story with you all. This is Ardeveld. Ardeveld came to us. He's actually originally from the country of Haiti. And he moved to the United States. And as many of you know, Haiti had had a horrible hurricane many years ago. It's an impoverished country. He came to the US, but he's a foreign medical graduate. And he's a physician trained in medicine and, you know, very wonderful, wonderful guy. But when he came here, he was living in Provo, Utah. He couldn't get a job in any kind of healthcare. In fact, he ended up working in a factory, the night shift. And he was making just over minimum wage and barely able to support his kids and his family back home in Haiti. He's trying to send back home, money back home. So really, really tough time for him coming to Utah. He was there in this factory job for many, many years. And then finally he enrolled in our program, and we gave him the experience he needed. We provided some training and then the experience. So right when he finished our program, he was able to apply to positions on his own, and he was hired right away. And that first job he was hired in, it wasn't clinical research coordinator. He was hired as a senior clinical research coordinator, making well over double right out of our program. And again, we're so proud of Ardeveld going from working the night shift in a factory, and now he is achieving his dream. He's working in healthcare. He's using his medical background, and he's working as a CRC. Really, really exciting. And then Lauren, did you have a story for us?
Yeah, I would love to share a story. So, you know, we see so many students with so many different backgrounds come through. And we recently, in the past few months, had this student. Her name is Devon. And you know, I could just identify with her because I had been in the spot she had been in. So she's a recent graduate from Rutgers University, studied biology, and did that same thing I did back when I graduated from college. She graduated and was like, oh, I have to get a real job. Oh boy. And she was like, well, I could write lab reports about like dissecting frogs and things, but what could I do with that? How does that translate into the real world? So she had a part-time job at a medical office doing some filing and, you know, taking phone calls. And, you know, she just wasn't really, as she put it, like using her brain. She wasn't thinking, she wasn't challenged, and she wasn't really doing what she wanted to be doing with her life, her career, with her education. She had applied to some jobs, but of course she couldn't get over that hurdle because in the interview, she wasn't speaking the clinical research language. And so right out of class, she started interviewing. I remember she called me because she was in her internship, and she was like, I have a problem. I don't know what I should do. I have an interview, but I'm supposed to go to my job or my internship, but I have this job interview. What do I do? So we were able to work through that so she could go to the interview and still round out her internship experience. And at the end, before her internship even was over, she had 2 job offers. She ended up taking one at Bristol Myers Squibb. And I remember asking her, well, how did the interview go? And she was like, oh, I was nervous because I was excited, but I was comfortable because I could pull from my experience in the internship. I could pull from my experience in class where we practiced a lot of the skills that you need to be successful in the industry. And so she was just speaking the language, and they even asked her, like, are you sure you haven't worked in this field before? Like, how do you know all of this? And so she came in with a cohort of individuals and into like a similar position. She's actually rotating through a lot of different positions. And she said, a lot of people are really overwhelmed who came in at the same time as her because they don't have this edge. They don't have the training. They're not speaking the language. And so she's already kind of ahead of the curve, which is great because she's already like setting goals for where she wants to be next, which is it's awesome to see that.
Wow. So those are some great stories. And just so all of you know who are on this webinar, there's over 60,000 unfilled positions in this field. And we meet people every day who are looking for those positions. And what brings me joy is that we can help people like Devon, like Arneveld, and like Liz. And really the key to success is the connections, having that experience to get in the door, and the training. But ultimately, I think what everyone needs is support and mentorship. Can you talk a little bit more about that, Genie?
So I think this all brings it all together between the connections, experience, and preparations is that support. Sometimes you just need someone to keep pushing you along. Some of us have moms and dads who can do that, but sometimes they're so loving, they won't push you as hard as you need. And that's where, Lauren and I really take pride in what we do. We support our students when we meet them where they're at, and sometimes we give them a small nudge. If it's 5 applications, maybe it's 10 applications. Who are they connecting with? What are they doing that we've taught from class? What they've learned. And I love it because sometimes it's hard. I mean, getting a job is really hard. Getting a job in research is even harder. It's a protected field. We are working with patients and we're testing something new that's never been done before. So if you were going to test something on my grandma, I want to make sure you're going to be proficient to do that test on my grandma. And so I feel that our mentorship, who we connect with, our sites, our mentorship hosts, our instructors, we're all cheering for our students and helping them be successful. And so that support is really invaluable. The services that we offer to our students, again, we meet them where they're at, but we nudge them a little bit so they can keep moving forward so that life doesn't distract them.
Wow. Okay. So now that we've gone over those main points about the support, about the connections, the training, the experience, I want to open it up to some questions. And we always have a lot of questions from our participants. And you can just hit the Q&A button right there in the functionality to ask those questions. And one question that people ask, and I kid you not, I hear this every month. We have trainings almost in different parts of the country. We're going to be in Austin next month, which is super exciting. Or actually this month, I'm sorry, we're going to be in Austin in a week. It's this month. They ask me this. They say, are you guys for real? How can you do this? Is this a scam? Because these other programs, the college master's degrees are 1 and 2 years. There's 1-year certificate programs and 2-year master programs. And the answer I give everyone when they ask that question is, don't believe me, okay? Because you can hear our stories, and what you need to do as researchers, we're all skeptical. Actually, why don't you all raise your hands? How many of you are skeptical? Most researchers are. How many of you are skeptical people and you're not really sure that this is possible to get a job in 1 month after taking our program? There, the hands go up. Look at this. Okay, that's really, I would be skeptical too. So the thing I recommend all of you to do is do your homework. If you Google us, just put in clinical research fast track into Google, you can see the third-party reviews from past students and people who've taken our program. And you know what? I wish they were all perfect, but they're not. We have great reviews and we have some poor reviews, just like any business. Do 100% of our students get jobs, Lauren?
No, they don't. The ones that are finding success and finding that success quickly are sticking to the formula. And when Genie and I give you that nudge, they are understanding what that nudge means. I need to up my efforts. I need to adapt my resume, my cover letter. I need to change something up. I need to interview in a different way that I'm not currently interviewing. we're there to help you and coach you and push you along. But a lot of that, it's a two-way street, right? We can only push so much. And so for our students who are really motivated and do the work and stick to what we're doing, those are the ones who are finding success really quickly.
Absolutely. And now I want to answer some of these questions. We do have questions coming in. One question is, do you have to have a degree to participate in this program? And the answer is, for our program, we have a minimum requirement. And the reason for that is you don't have to have a degree to work in this industry, but we value education, and we see that people with bachelor's degrees tend to do much better than those who don't. So the minimum requirement for our program is you either have an associate's degree, 2 years of college, or you're a licensed vocational nurse or a medical assistant. We have some more questions. Are you guys able to see these questions? Lauren, Genie, can you see them as well?
I see this one being a pharmacy student. And her question, or his question is, are there a lot of pharmacists who work in clinical research? And the answer is yes. We're going to see that more and more, I think, with virtual medicine on the scene. We have this telemedicine with standard of care. We're going to start seeing more virtual medicine, which means like someone coming to your home as a patient to take care of you. So that might be a nurse, it might be a coordinator. Pharmacists help dispense, or like I was a technician, I help compound these medications in a different way or administer them in a different route or frequency changes. So yes, they're probably not as plentiful as your coordinator and research assistant and CRA positions, but there's definitely a need for pharmacists in research. And PharmDs also have kind of more positions like MSL and other kind of higher level, upper, that graduate level positions when you're in the field. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that's really, Jeannie, I'm just going to tag on to that because I think that's the really cool thing about someone in the pharmacy position is I think a lot of pharmacists are, in the pharmacy, of course, right? You went to pharmacy school. And so there are investigational drug pharmacies where you're doing that compounding, you're doing the dispensing. Sometimes you get to be on the interesting side of the protocol because you might be unblinded because you have to dispense this medication. So you're kind of like, really like in the know with the protocol, but because you have this really intimate knowledge of the way drugs work and the mechanism of action, you actually have a lot of other opportunities available to you, like the MSL, the medical science liaison position, or even pharmacovigilance, or there's a lot of avenues open to you if you have an advanced degree like that.
Yeah, and we have another question that I think is important for everyone to be aware. The question is, do I have to be a biology major like Devon was? Do I have to be a medical graduate or a nurse? And the amazing thing is you don't. We have people like Lauren is a psychology major. My background was in politics before I went into this field. So there are so many different majors you could have. We have had students with marketing degrees, we've had students with business degrees, and they're all finding a place in this field. Did you guys realize the field is growing? It's a $165 billion segment of the healthcare field, $165 billion. And every year it's growing. Last year, there were more drugs approved than ever before. And how many drugs now or how many trials are being registered each year, Genie? Do you know? I mean, it's been growing every year.
Yeah, I think you have a chart on that, David. I think 120,000 in the US are registered actively at this moment. There's a lot, like I said, at the ACRP meeting, they said that technology is helping us do more, but not necessarily faster. So yes.
There it is. The growth of this industry is phenomenal. Oh my God, sorry about that. I'm going backwards. We've had more drugs approved than ever before, and it keeps getting bigger. And the number of jobs is outstanding. So we have just, I think, one more minute to answer questions. Where are the programs? Lauren, why don't you take that one? Where are our programs?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our program really all over the country, and the bulk of our program actually takes place wherever you live. So we do have our classrooms all around the country, in Scottsdale, a couple in Texas, in Atlanta, up and down the East Coast from Raleigh, Philadelphia, Orlando, but our program overall is 4 weeks. And only 8 days out of those 4 weeks would you have to go to one of those locations to be in the classroom. Everything else takes place right where you are, because it's all complemented with some online learning. So that's self-paced. So I know a lot of you are probably still working in whatever your current role is, or you might have some kiddos at home or whatever that you couldn't leave for a month. So a lot of that takes place right there in your home. And then the internship, we set that up right in your backyard. So say you are living in Oklahoma, your internship would be in Oklahoma, be, somewhere around where you currently live that you could just drive to every day like you would a regular job. And we're pretty flexible too with scheduling those internships, because we know that you have life going on too, but the more you can dedicate to that experience, to just jump in and immerse yourself in the experience. I mean, our whole program is based on the premise of immersion learning. That's why it's so many hours in a short period of time, because we do really want you to come out fluent in clinical research on the other side. And that's what happens when you do jump in like that.
Excellent, excellent. And you know what, we're almost out of time. We have so many more questions. I'm gonna take a couple lightning round questions really fast. There's a nurse who says, how can I skip the entry level and just move on? Well, if you're a nurse and you go through our program and you learn the foundation of clinical research, you can go right into a clinical research nursing job, and those jobs are making $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year right out of the gate. So for someone like a nurse with that training, it's a phenomenal path for you. Another person is saying, what are the positions in the field? There are so many positions. Give us a call. For more information, you can just call our number right here, 602-883-7944. And there's our email. Call us or email us. We're happy to answer your questions. And we're out of time. Did you have any last words, Genie or Lauren, before we sign off and say thank you to everyone for joining us?
Thank you for your time, for tuning in. Definitely call in to answer all these specific questions. The internship is 2 weeks long, typically Monday through Friday, typically 8 to 5 for one of those quick questions. Find out more information and we'll answer them to the best of our ability. We want to make sure it's a good fit. This isn't for everyone. I recognize that there are other programs out there where people want to earn a degree. We're not a degree granting institution, but we are licensed by the Arizona Private Post-Secondary Board of Education. We've been approved by the VA to accept any kind of eligibility for those veterans. Thank you for your service. And we are certified by the nursing group in Arizona for credentialing. So for those RNs and nurses, you can get some credits out of this. So we have a lot of bodies that support us and license us. So check us out. We'll answer your questions. Come visit me in Scottsdale. I'm there, and you can see me and meet my team and instructors when maybe class is running. So you can touch us and feel us and shake my hand.
All right. And Lauren, you got 10 seconds. We're almost out of time.
I just want to say also, thank you for your time. Like Jeannie said, this isn't for everyone, but it's an amazing industry. And whether or not you ultimately go into the field, I think just raising awareness of the field in general, that we are truly working in the future of medicine. This is how things happen in the medical field. We are on the cutting edge. So if that's the only thing you take away from today, to know what clinical research is and to know that it's not a scary thing and it offers a brilliant career path, then I thank you for joining us.
All right. And thank you, Genie, for your time today. It's been such a pleasure having you. Lauren Belina Chang, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you. I'm so honored to work with both of you. And we love clinical research, and it is our passion to help people move into the industry. I know we have so many more questions. Please just give us a call, email us, and we're happy to answer. But we're out of time today, folks. So signing off from San Francisco, California. Again, my name's David Silberman. I'm the CEO of Clinical Research Fastrack, and thank you all for joining us.